I'm Steve Brown, Extension Cotton Agronomist, Alabama Cooperative Extension System, Auburn University. As we approach harvest, obviously we're thinking about harvest aid application to get the crop ready. Our ultimate goal is to deliver as good a cotton, as good a quality cotton and the volume of cotton that we possibly can to the cotton gin and then ultimately to the textile mill. So there are a lot of considerations as you think about defoliation, and really when we talk about defoliation, we are talking about multiple products, harvest aids in fact, because we're doing more than just removing leaves. We're also obviously opening bolls. We're suppressing regrowth. We may have a little impact on a few weeds that are out there, trying to green up some, or excuse me, brown out some material so that we don't get green stains. So there's a lot of reasons we defoliate. One is to expedite once over harvest. That's we want to remove as much plant trash that will pass through the picker. We want to open bolls just as fast as we can. We want to suppress regrowth. We're drying the crop down as a result as you get airflow. So all those go into why we defoliate. Most of the contracts on which we deliver cotton, they also have some official wording that would say that the crop needs to be chemically defoliated, and that's just routine for us. So that's some of the whys we think about when we're approaching harvest aid use. Multiple products. I'll stop a minute and let Tyler talk.
Hi, I'm Tyler Sandlin, Extension Crop Specialist for North Alabama with Auburn University. Again, Dr. Steve Brown, Eddie McGriff, and I are here today covering cotton defoliation and harvest aid use. And as Dr. Steve Brown just talked about some of the ways we think about cotton defoliants, we're also going to think about some of the conditions that are on our minds when we defoliate, or some of the conditions we need to think about. One of those conditions is the condition of the crop. And we're in North Alabama today, and you may can see we're getting light rain currently. And there's some variable areas in North Alabama. The area we're in today, the cotton looks great. It's green, it's lush, it's had plentiful rainfall. And there's some other areas that have been very drought stressed that haven't seen rain in 4 to 5 weeks. Those will be two very different crops to defoliate, and we have to think about those in different ways. The greener, more lush cotton, we have to be careful with some of our defoliant rates so that we don't stick leaves early on in those warm or hot conditions when it's time to get started. And conversely, in our drought-stressed cotton, those crops can be particularly difficult to defoliate due to thick, leathery leaves and thick leaf cuticles. Also, a drought-stressed crop is going to probably have underutilized nitrogen and other resources, and regrowth is going to be a factor in those crops too. And regrowth can be very difficult to get off and very difficult to compete with. We need to think about particular products to address that. Also, when we get ready to start defoliating here in the next month or so, we want to think about what kind of conditions we want to defoliate in. We want good, warm, sunny days, 3 to 5 days following our application. Days like the day where it's cloudy or rainy, and especially within a couple of days of defoliation, can really inhibit the performance of some of the products that we'll use. Next, let's talk about spray coverage. Coverage is key when we talk about defoliation. And most applications will go out with a ground rig in North Alabama, some with an airplane. We think about a ground rig, we want to have no less than 15 gallons of water per acre, and then out of an airplane we want no less than 5 gallons per acre. Also, when we talk about spray tips, hollow cones are preferred. Flat fans will work. Hollow cones are preferred, but we want to stay away from any air induction type tips like we would use in some of our auxin applications. Are not particularly good for defoliation. Next, we'll talk about how we time defoliation. What are some key things we do to time defoliation? One, and the most common, would be 60% open bowl. And generally when we have 60% open bowl, it's usually safe to defoliate, but we need to verify that we are in fact 60% open in the field. We need to go out and actually count in the field rather than window shop it from the truck cab. And also that works well in a good uniform fruit set crop versus one that has fruiting gaps in it. That may not be safe to defoliate at 60% when we have a large fruiting gap due to plant bug pressure or some other pest pressure. We're missing some positions. The next thing that we'll talk about in timing will be nodes above crack bowl. So when we use this methodology, we want to go to the uppermost first position crack bowl in the plant and count how many nodes above that crack bowl exist. And when we're 4 nodes or less above crack bowl, it's generally safe to defoliate. And whether you use the first method that we talked about or the second, we really need to validate all of those with a sharp knife technique. We need to be slicing bolls. And so when we use a sharp knife, what we're going to do is find our uppermost harvestable boll that's going to contribute to yield that we're going to put in the picker basket and be realistic about that. We're going to take a knife and we're going to slice across that boll. And when that boll is difficult to cut across, we have the absence of jelly in that boll, cotyledons are folded, and seed coats are darkened, then it's generally safe to defoliate. And that's when we know it's time to go and it's ready to put out there.